Hi, I'm Randy from campingandfishingcalifornia.com, and today I have another review for you. Today we're going to talk about this generator from Smarter Tools. It's an AP2000iQ, and we've had this for about 2 seasons now, so we've tested it and ran it through the mill, and we love this thing. Now, it's not quite as large as our old EF2400 from Yamaha, so it does not run our air conditioner, but it does have the parallel setup on it, so you can put 2 of them together and run your air conditioner just like the old EF2400 and like the Yamahas, the comparable Yamaha 2000s. So we really love this thing. Haven't had any problems with it whatsoever so far in 2 seasons. And one of the things I really like about it is the decibels. At idle, this thing only puts out 51 decibels. Now, when you plug in your curling iron or your coffee pot or a few things like that, then yeah, the decibels go up. But still nicely in those ranges of a Honda or a Yamaha. The other thing I like about it is it's got the Yamaha motor. And that means that you're going to have a quality generator for a long time. So those are 2 things that we really like about it. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you real quick before we get into the maintenance and some of those areas is this. On the front, you'll notice right here something called the smart throttle. When you toggle this on with the engine running, it automatically keeps this running at the lowest possible RPMs to keep the decibels down and also to keep the fuel usage down. This is really a quality feature to have. It's really nice. We love it. I run it all the time. Now, the one thing I want to warn you about on this is I found this out the hard way. It does have the fuel switch like the old EF2400 that we used to have, or we used to use all the time. And this fuel switch, what I've learned is that it's the last thing that I shut off. And it's the first thing that I turn on when I start it up. The reason being is if you run your generator with this off before you shut everything off, it drains the fuel out, and when it comes to cranking this thing and starting it, it takes quite a few more pulls. So what I've learned is when I'm running it and just before I shut it off, I'll shut everything else off, including the generator, and then I'll shut this switch off right here, shutting the fuel off. That way, fuel stays real close in the line to the carburetor, and it starts up a lot easier. So again, just a quality generator. Next thing I want to do is I want to get into changing the oil, taking a look at the muffler, changing the spark plug, and I want to take a look at the air filter and how to clean that. So we'll do that next. Well, you'll notice that we have it up on blocks. That makes it much easier to accomplish this part of the maintenance that we're going to take a look at. This is the access cover for if you want to go in and check the level of your oil and add a little oil. And it's real simple. You just pull this plastic tab out and it comes out and you can access that. So the first thing I did was I took and I loosened up these 2 screws here and unscrewed them. And then you just simply pull the plate off and it comes off real easily. And here again you can see your oil cap where you go in and access your oil to change it and to add it and check the levels of it. So in order to change this oil, it's very simple. Now, I'm not going to do it right now, but normally what you would do is just unscrew this cap. Like that. And then just tilt this over and I'll show you that. Now, the reason I'm not changing my oil right now is because I still have several hours I need to run on it before it's going to be dirty enough to change it. But in order to change it, it doesn't have the drain plug on the bottom like the old EF2400. The only access to oil in and out is this cap right here. So you would take that off, take your tub, I can't believe it's butter, sorta, if that's what you want to use, and you simply just take and put it underneath that fill, and you would tilt it over like that until it's all drained out. That's how easy it is. You don't even have to mess with a drain plug. You just simply unscrew that, tilt it over, and drain it till it's done. Now be sure you dispose of your oil properly. And then when you go to fill it up, what I did was I kept this container that oil came in when I took this whole thing out of the package. And I simply just take the cap off this, and I just fill it up to that line right there. And I use this to fill it back up with. I take the cap off. Instead of using a funnel, this is just so much easier. I take the cap off and just simply drain oil into it that way. That way I'm doing two things. I'm making sure it gets in there safely, not having to mess around with a funnel, but the other thing I'm doing is I'm making sure that I get the proper amount of oil in there. So you'll want to keep this when you take it out of the package. Now let me just screw this back in. And let's take a look at something else real quick. So the next thing that we want to look at is taking care of the air filter. Now the air filter is located right here under this cover, and you simply unscrew this cover, pull the cover off, and then you just take this filter out and you soak it in a non-flammable solvent if you want to use that. But I was talking to the tech at Smarter Tools, and he said you can actually use dishwashing soap, a solution of water and dishwashing soap. Just soak it in that for a few minutes and run that through this, and then just take and rinse it out real well. And then let this dry. Let it dry real well. You do not want to put this back in here while it's wet. And be sure you put it back in the right way. I only change or clean out this filter once per season. And I usually do it just before I go up to the Eastern Sierras on that trip. That is the one where you want everything really fresh, because you're going to be up there a while, so you just want everything nice and fresh up there. Now the other thing I wanted to do was show you the spark plug. So let me take this all off the blocks and I'll be right back. So you'll notice that there's a cover on top of your generator to access your spark plug with. You'll just simply pull that out and just kind of move it to the side a little bit. Then you get out the tool that came along with your generator, and you'll just simply put it down through that hole, secure it around the spark plug. Be careful not to break the porcelain. Make sure you just kind of keep everything lined up straight. And you'll want to turn counterclockwise till it loosens, and then it should just easily come out with your finger pressure. Just reach in, 2 fingers, take it out, and there you have it. Now when I talked to support at Smarter Tools, I believe it was Eric that I was talking to, he said to make sure that you use the BPR6HS. Somehow when I went down to get a replacement plug the first time, I came home with the BPR4HS, which was the spark plug that went in our past generator, the EF2400. So I couldn't figure out how I came home with that, but what I finally figured out is there was an insert that came with the manual, and in that insert it showed that I was supposed to get the BPR4HS. So when I called Eric, he said, yeah, that was a mistake. Shouldn't have been in there. Make sure you get the BPR6HS. And when you do get a replacement plug, make sure that you take a feeler gauge and gap it. I believe it should be in around 0.024 to 0.028, yeah. Millimeters, I think it's 0.70 to 0.80 millimeters. So that's your spark plug. When you go to put it back in, just simply throw it back in there. You can look through the top and see where it goes. And just kind of line it up straight with your fingertip and then guide the spark plug tool back over it. And you'll want to make sure that when you put it back in, do not force it. Make sure that as you're screwing it back in, that it's very, very easy to go back in until it comes up to sudden pressure. Then once it's at that point, you just take your tool, your leverage tool there, and just go back in. Don't over tighten it. It's not necessary to tighten it too much, but you do want it in there pretty firm and snug. So that's it for doing your spark plug. And the next thing I want to do is I want to take a look at the muffler and how to clean the muffler. And that'll be our last thing for today. So the muffler requires that you take this panel off, this side panel, and I believe it's got 6 screws in it. There you go. Screws. There we go. I have all 6 of the screws. Now here's your muffler right here. And what you're going to want to do, occasionally just take and unscrew this ring here and pull that off. Let me see if I can go get a tool that'll take care of that. Okay, so the socket that works best for me is the 8mm. And again, you'll want to turn it counterclockwise. Just bring it out. You can see how it's easily moving now. And that will come off. Then you simply pull this off. Now I haven't done it yet on this, so that's why I'm kind of struggling a little bit. But you'll see that this little kind of a filter type netting will come off, and that's where you want to take a brush and just kind of brush it off a little bit and get all of this out and blow it out. You may take your compressor and blow it out a little bit, clean it up, and then go ahead and put it back in. So let me see if I can find a wire brush real quick. So there, I found a wire brush, and I'm just going to kind of brush it a little bit. I don't want to be too harsh on it. I want to make sure that I don't change the shape of anything. But you can see that it's cleaning up pretty nicely there. A few more strokes here. Might want to wear some gloves or something, because these wire brushes will get your fingers pretty good if you're not real careful. So there you go. Just might want to make sure that there's no loose dirt in there. And at that point, you simply put it all back together again. So I've brushed this out. Simply reinsert it back into its casing. Slide it all back on. And just make sure it's on there nice and firm. Put the ring back on. And then it should screw back on clockwise. So it's firming up pretty nicely right about there. And that's it for your spark plug. So I hope I've helped you with some hints and tips for maintaining your AP2000iQ. Now the only other thing that the tech mentioned was that there is a fuel filter in here and it's down below the tank. Now I haven't been able to find that yet, but he said that I shouldn't have to replace that for a long time. So I probably have several more seasons of camping and fishing with this thing before I have to do that. So that's the only other piece of maintenance that you really will need to take care of at a point in time. Well, hopefully that's giving you some hints and tips on how to maintain your AP2000iQ in case you decide to buy one. Again, the maintenance on this is simple. It's so easy. Anyone can do it. And the price on these generators is just wonderful right now. I think right now you can get these for between $500 and $600. If you have any questions, go to www.campingandfishingcalifornia.com and check out my review and my post on this generator. You're going to really like it. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Randy from www.campingandfishingcalifornia.com.